The following is a production of Sharkflight Media.
From mechs to mages or agents to Argonauts, this is the world of Chris Kennedy Publishing. This is the CKP Future Books Podcast.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning into this month's edition of Future Books. Thank you for taking time to listen to this. This month, we, as always, in the first half of our podcast, have the opportunity to speak with our publisher, Chris Kennedy, about books that are coming out this month. This month, we only have 3, but they are 3 very good books, excellent books that you should pick up and read. Welcome, Chris, to the podcast. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us this month.
Hey, thanks for having me, Randy. It's always great to be here and chat with you. And there aren't as many as there have been in most months, just the way the schedule fell out, but they're all good ones.
I think you're slacking. You've probably lost those extra 4 hours a day that you found for the last 5 years.
Well, it's daylight savings time this week, so I lost an hour there too.
Oh Lord! So, not to waste any time and to let our listeners hear about our new books this month, we're going to start off on a high note. Our publisher and editor, Chris Kennedy, has book 3 of the Symbiote Wars, Gaining the Edge, which will be out on March the 14th. I know you may not have had a chance to read this yet, but do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
I'm actually passingly familiar with it. It's the third book in the Symbiote Wars series, like you said. The siblings. The main story is about a group of siblings. 2 brothers and a sister, and the humans are trying to keep away from evil aliens that are trying to come and take them as their symbiotes and basically turn all of the humans into slaves. We've managed to kind of push them away from Earth, and in this one they're hoping that they can push them further and actually, instead of playing defense like they have the past couple books, they're hoping to go on the offensive and really drive them further back. Of course, it just doesn't quite go the way that they want. So, hijinks and shenanigans ensue.
Yeah, I think you're that type of writer that wakes up in the morning and says, how can I be annoying and give my main characters all the hell I can give them.
But I really like this series, the Symbiote Wars, because the symbiotes, we have symbiotes on our side too, which can actually boost some of your individual abilities. They can make you stronger. They can make you faster. They also can provide a kind of a familiar. They walk. They're small. They look like spiders almost. Big brown recluses. So they transport themselves around on cats. But the ones that the siblings have Bengal tigers. So it's always fun to have a Bengal tiger fighting for you, and to basically become almost a superhero where, you're faster and stronger and now you've got a Bengal tiger fighting with you. So, unfortunately, so do the bad guys, but they don't have Bengal tigers, but they can be faster and stronger too. So it's
sounds like
a matter of who can do it best.
It sounds like a great series. And, when you look back at your body of work, pretty much anything that has Chris Kennedy on it is worth reading.
Well, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. That's not just me trying to make the boss like me. You do good work.
Well, thank you.
Maybe you'll double my pay.
Yeah.
And then on March 21st, we have a relatively new author to CKP, and she's from across the pond. and we're going to talk to her in depth in the second half of the podcast. It's Miss Dawn Chapman, and we have the second book in her Through Steel and Stars series. It's called Interstellar Gambit, and even if the writing wasn't any good, these books are worth getting for the covers. I think the cover for Interstellar Pawn was possibly the very best cover ever from CKP. So
I don't disagree with you. And when I saw it, I almost stole it for my own. Even though I didn't have anything that really fit it, I was willing to write a complete series just so that I could have that cover.
It is an amazing cover.
Yeah, and the second one's every bit as good. The title is Interstellar Gambit, and the first one's Interstellar Pawn, and the guy looks like he's planning a game of chess. It looks like he's looking at the chessboard thinking, so it kind of ties into the pawn, the chess reference. And then in Gambit, it looks like he's throwing the dice, except that he's throwing starships out there. So the main character in this, basically in the first book, found out that everything he thought he knew, he didn't. His parents had lied to him all his life, and then they are killed, and he has to figure out what he doesn't know, which basically is everything, because the things he thinks he knows, he doesn't actually know, and he's got to go out and save the universe.
And then we're going to end up the month on March the 28th with Bound and Determined. For those of you who love just straight action books, this book is amazing, and the very first book starts off with a bang, and it never slows down. This is by Michael LaVoice. The first book was Any Given Doomsday, and I cannot recommend this book enough. I think this book has legs, and that we're going to be seeing a number of books in this universe.
It's a really neat series. It's basically Monday Night Football. The Monday Night Football people have to save the galaxy. The universe the humanity has given up navies and armies. They settle things by a kind of a trial by combat, using people in mech suits to, play basically capture the flag, and everybody tunes in like Monday Night Football to watch it. And it's a big sporting event, and everything's great. And then the aliens land right there in front of them and start eating people. And the only, they don't have anybody that knows anything about combat. All they have are these people that know play combat. And they have to learn real combat real fast. In the first book, they finally figure out how to save the planet they're on. In the second book, they need to go to the main character's homeworld, which was taken before the one they were on. So the aliens have been there longer, and they've got to get there and kick them off and hopefully save mom and dad.
Yeah, and I really like the fact in the book that even though humanity has tried to erase war and fill that spot with proxies, that they weren't stupid. They didn't throw away their history. That it's in storage. It's just taking time to get everything back up and running again, because humans have fought from day one, and they have left themselves an arsenal. They just have to get to the point where everything can get back up and running, because it's been so long since it's been used.
And in this one, we find out that things aren't exactly the way they seem.
Oh. Dum, dum,
so
dum.
there is there is a twist here, and well, you'll have to read the book. I I could tell you, but you'll have to read the book. But it's this book is awesome. The series is great. I love the kind of faux sports team in it. Trying to figure out how to actually run life as a military organization. So
I like the fact that you got an NCO there that's basically taking a raw lieutenant and teaching him to be a leader.
Right, absolutely. He just thought he was a leader when he was doing this, doing the game stuff. It turns out it's a lot harder when people actually die when you make the wrong decisions.
Yeah, when you've got sweat in the game, it makes a big difference
and a lot of blood.
Yep. So that covers the month of March. I hate this portion of the podcast being so short this month, but we didn't have a lot going on, and things are running relatively smoothly.
Yeah, and I can tell you that there are a couple books coming that people have been waiting on for a long time. I know Caveat Emptor, the Four Horsemen universe game, the book that goes along with the Kickstarter is done. It's going through its final read before it comes to me, so that'll get on the schedule real soon.
That's great.
The next salvage title book by Kevin Steverson, actually it grew too much and is now 2 books, but I understand the first one of those is almost finished. It's basically is going through its final read, so I should get that soon. So there's lots of things that people have been waiting for a while on the horizon, and hopefully they'll be on the schedule here real soon.
Yeah, it was so funny. I recorded the second half of the podcast first this month, and Dawn Chapman was talking about how she'd started a short story for you, and she's at 118,000 words, so it's probably not a short story anymore.
Well, the Interstellar books, Through Steel and Stars, they're each, I think, 130,000, 150,000. They're bulky books.
Yeah.
David Weber would look at them and go, well, that's not really that big.
And yeah, that's the first section.
Yeah, but anybody else would look at them and go, wow, that's got some heft to it.
Yep.
So people that are like, man, this book ended too fast for me. I want more. When you pick up one of the Interstellars, you're going to be there for a while. So it's a great read, and it's got some heft to it.
Well, tell our listeners we're on social media. They can get more information about what's coming from CKP, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
All right. ChrisKennedyPublishing.com. That's a great place to go. If you go to ChrisKennedyPublishing.com/betrayal, you can get the first book in the Kingdom Lost series. And there's a bunch of other ones that you can get. So grab a free short story and sit down and find a new universe and try something out. And,
listeners, don't be confused. This is your local book drug dealer giving you a free taste. Once you shoot yourself up with that first free book, he's going to make money off of you.
Well, I mean, I gotta feed my wife. What can I say?
There's not a lot you can say. Thank you so much for all your time, and I hope you have a good month. And listeners, we will be doing this again next month, and we'll be talking about the books that are coming out in April. And there are, I know, a couple of books that I've personally been looking forward to, so I can't wait to do April's podcast.
I think I've got 2 in April. So I'm looking forward to it, too.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to doing this again next month.
All righty. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening to the first half of the podcast. This month, our featured author is Dawn Chapman. Dawn has a new series out, the first book of which is Interstellar Pawn. The second book will be out this month. And remind me of the name of the second book, Dawn?
Interstellar Gambit.
Interstellar Gambit. First of all, even though she has absolutely no control over this, I want to say this Interstellar Pawn has the most stunning cover of any book I think that Chris Kennedy Publishing has published so far. It is absolutely stunning. So, I know that she has to be absolutely super happy with how her cover came out. The series is lit RPG, and we want to talk about that in the podcast because I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first lit RPG book that Chris Kennedy Publishing has published, and the series is called Through Steel and Stars. So without further ado, welcome, Dawn.
Hi, nice to be here.
Oh, we are so happy to have you. And I didn't mention in the intro, but we are dialing across the pond to have this podcast this morning. Miss Chapman is in the UK, and so it's really early for me, and it's about lunchtime for her.
Yep.
We are so happy to have you. So let's just jump right in. Tell us a little bit about Through Steel and Stars.
I tend to get a lot of my inspiration from my artists, and one of my artists put a pre-made cover up, which is like obviously nowhere near a quality of what the cover I've got, and that just sparked an idea. I had a really rough year in 2023, and I was looking for something to write for me, just to have a load of fun, do something that I really wanted to do, and so Interstellar Pawn was the first book in the series, and I penned it through November 2023.
So, tell our listeners who aren't familiar what lit RPG is.
Basically, it's anything that involves like a game system. So for people who obviously read and listen to a lot of sci-fi, like the sci-fi hoods, and so they've got access to certain things, or they can do certain things. A lot of lit RPG tends to be fantasy because it's just a lot more fantasy based, and there's not a lot of sci-fi. So this is kind of, it's in the middle really, because I've used lit RPG mechanics, and brought it into like the sci-fi setting. So the HUD, uploads, upgrades, different levels, obviously going through the ship for, like captain to admiral and stuff like that. So that's it's basically a progressive story, so that you can actually quantifiably see it in diagrams and tables and stat sheets.
So you have real rules, and there's not as much hand waving.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, there's some pretty strict stuff that you kind of have to stick to, because otherwise people pull it apart. It's it's no good you saying 1 minute that they can do this, and then the next thing, oh, hang on a minute, they're halfway across the galaxy in the blink of an eye. There's some basics to it. So.
Well, I think that would make a better story and give you some structure to write within. So yeah. that has to be helpful to the author.
It is. It's and sort of designing the system that you want to work and how you want to work it is part of the fun. That's the genre. It's like the excitement is the game as well as it is sort of like writing in it. So I get just as much fun out of building spaceships and designing the system around how it works as actually writing the story. So that's what I needed in 2023.
So it sounds a lot like lit RPG allows people to write a better story, because there's you can't just pull a rabbit out of the hat to fix the problem. You've got to work within the rules of what that universe and what that book is.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree with that.
So how did someone in the UK get hooked up with CKP?
I've been a fan of the Chris for a while, and been friends with Bill Frisbee.
Oh yeah,
William Frisbee.
Yeah,
for a very long time, maybe 12 years, through National Novel Writing Month, which was like every November. So we've always kind of bounced ideas around and talked a lot about writing, me and Bill. And I followed Chris for a while, and I just happened to see him put the call out for looking for authors. And I was like, because I'd already written the series, it was like, and I was planning to publish it because I do a lot of self-publishing. So I was planning to publish it myself, and I seen the call. I was like, oh, Bill's done really well with Chris. And I'm like, I really admire Chris because I've seen his talks at the conventions that recorded. And there's my bed. And so it's just a case of should I, shouldn't I? And it took me a whole day to write like the proper blurbs that I really wanted to send off and, make it sort of the presentation that I wanted to be professional. Because even though I knew him, it was like, no, I've got to be professional and, make sure it all looks right. So I sent it off and heard back within like 12 hours, something like that, because obviously time difference as well.
Well, having a completed series is a big plus.
Yeah.
I like what CKP has recently transitioned to. All of the authors are turning in at least 2 or 3 books at a time, and then publishing them every other month so that you maintain the momentum of your first book, which I think is genius.
Yeah, that it would have been my plan anyway to do it. Hence why I'd written the 3 books to get prepared to publish, sort of like. So it was a good plan, and it worked out really well to move to Chris.
So have y'all talked at all about doing an audio version of the books yet? Or?
Yes, I'm an audio engineer myself, so I did all the audio myself. The narrators was arranged well into early last year. Because obviously they get booked up pretty well, so the audio's out as well.
Oh, wow.
And the next 2 are done, so next 2 are recorded as well.
Man, you believe in being prepared.
Yeah. I know. It's for the lit RPG genre, they absolutely adore audiobooks. So as soon as you release a book, the first question you will ever be asked is, when's the audio coming out? Because a lot of the genre sort of like readers and listeners are gamers, dads, truckers, people that can't quite, they can't invest playing games like they used to, and they still want that immersive experience. So while they're driving, audiobooks is ideal for a lot of the sort of like the people in the States. Not so much over here because we don't have the same room as you do for driving. But
you don't get in the car and drive for like 12 hours.
Yeah, no, we don't do that. So.
But I bet it's great for Australia.
Yeah, oh gosh, yeah. Definitely that'd be great down there.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine that lived in Australia for several years, and he said we have like 5 cities, and then there's 8 hours between each of them of absolute nothing.
Nothing, yeah. Yeah, it's quite crazy that.
So how many years have you been a professional writer?
I originally started. I was a screenwriter first. So I spent 15 years in the film, TV industry. Got very tired of it, and basically turned back to writing prose and novels back in 2011. I made a plan to start publishing in 2015, and I wanted to have a 3-year plan of becoming, full-time professional author. It didn't quite work out like that. It took me 4 years, but
you underachiever, you.
Yeah, it took me 4. But yeah, so it eventually in 2019, I handed my notice in, and sort of like supposed to have gone into being the professional author completely, but it didn't quite work out like that because of 2020, and everyone knows it was like that. With the audio side of things, I always had it as a bit of a part-time job, and hi Bobby, and so the part-time job in 2020 turned into a full-time job as well, because the people that I was working for all of a sudden were at home, weren't doing the usual stuff. So it was like, oh, Dawn, she'll be fine. She can keep up. So I technically had 2 full-time jobs, and I worked for 100-hour weeks right through.
Yeah, I would expect that the COVID years were particularly good for audio engineers, since everybody was trying to sit at home and learn how to do Zoom. It
was very, very busy couple of years. Like I said, I was doing 100+ hours a week. I love the job. I get to listen to books in the genres that I obviously write in, so I get to keep up with everyone, which is like really important to me, as well as obviously the extra money. So
that is great. So there's 3 books finished in this series so far, correct?
Yep.
Do you have plans to continue writing in that series, or does it come to a conclusion?
There's a lot of open. It ends with an open thread. So if it still does really, really well, and people obviously want more, then I can write a lot. I've got a lot of ideas for more spaceships and upgrading spaceships.
So you've got plans for where this can go. And how has the reception been for the first book?
It's been very, very steady. I've stayed quite well on Amazon. Got some really nice messages and reviews, so I think it's been quite positive. So
that's great.
Yeah.
So, what is there any other books out there that you have written that you'd like to talk about or let people be aware of?
My other major lit RPG series is Space Seasons, which is again sci-fi. Sort of like in the RPG sphere. That's an 8-book series which will complete this year. It did kind of stall in the middle because of a couple of life issues, which I then went writing other things. But I've gone back to make sure that because I like to finish things. So it's for me as well as everyone else. But it will finish this. I'm writing the last book in that series now. So,
and for the listeners who would like to follow you and keep track of what you've got coming out, do you participate in social media?
Yeah, I'm virtually on every social media channel with my my nickname Conundra. You can find me anywhere there. Discord, Facebook, Twitter.
And you have a website also, don't you?
Yeah, I'm Dawn Chapman author.com, I think it is.
Dawn Chapman author.com.
Yeah.
Do you have plans for any other series coming out this year, or are you just going to stay working within this?
I'm going to finish this book I'm on now. I actually started a spin-off series, which actually comes before the series that I've got with Chris. It's The Grandfather. And it was supposed to be a short story, and now it's like 170,000 words.
Yeah, that's a little long for a short story.
So I've really, really enjoyed that. It's not quite as lit RPG because the grandfather actually creates a lot of the tech. So I'm really enjoying imagining the tech and how he's creating it and sort of progressing from there. But that's kind of what I'm working on till I decide if I'm going to write more for Through Steel and Stars.
Well, cool. Is there anything else that you would like to make the listeners aware of, or anything that we haven't touched on?
I don't think so. You can feel free to ask me any questions online.
That's great. So what she said is, don't hesitate to, if you have questions about any of her books, to get in touch with her through her website online.
It's my bad.
The laughter is she has a parrot, and the parrot decided to join us in the video.
Guest appearance.
Well, I am so happy that you've joined CKP. Like I said, this series looks fantastic. I can't wait to read the other 2 books, and I hope we're able to do this again soon.
Yeah, anytime you want.
Thank you for joining us, and hopefully we will be doing this again sometime later this year.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the CKP Future Books podcast with host Randall Willis. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider leaving it a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you subscribe. Show likes and channel subscriptions are also much appreciated on the CKP YouTube channel. Finally, if you'd like to know more about this author or others on the CKP roster, visit chriskennedypublishing.com. Thanks for listening to the CKP Future Books podcast. We'll see you next time.